See here.
You're in.
All right. We're live. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Kelly Anderson, biohacker mom, and I'm here today with my friend Stephanie Corder, and we're on a new platform today. I'm trying out StreamYard for the first time. So there's a little bit of a learning curve here. And one thing is that the camera is for some reason on the opposite side than it normally is for Zoom. So it's really kind of throwing me off a little bit. I keep wanting to come over here. But anyway, it's going to be good. So I have my good friend Stephanie Corder here, and I'm so thankful, grateful that you have joined me today. She's coming all the way from Scottsdale, Arizona. She has 3 children. She is a wife, and you've got 2 kids that are homeschooled, right?
Yeah.
And where's the 3rd one?
He has moved out, getting that independence,
Okay.
My oldest moved out this year. All of you moms that understand this, day 1, it was good. Day 2, I was like, this is what we want. Day 3, I was in the floor in his bedroom crying. You're like, oh my gosh. But that's what we want, right? We want them to grow up to be these independent individuals. So I'm super excited for him, especially during COVID. It's just so hard for these kids that age.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of him making his own way.
Yeah, it really is remarkable. These kids have had a lot thrown at them for sure.
Yeah.
So Stephanie is she is a leader for women. She helps women find their way in business and in health. And she's got her own story for how she came to this point. And I know a little bit about this story, but Stephanie, I want you to, first of all, introduce yourself in any way that you would like. And then I want you to kind of tell everybody how you came to this place of health and serving women.
Sure. No, I'd love to. I don't have any way to introduce me but Stephanie. So I'm not anything like that for sure. But here's my story. 10 years ago, it's been a little longer. COVID kind of messes with my brain as to how many years, but roughly, I was very active in my community. I worked with an international ministry doing leadership development in Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. I was, my husband and I led Boy Scouts together. We led Cub Scouts together. I led Girl Scouts. We were leaders with our local 4-H club. We raised chickens and we raised rabbits and we had ducks and turned my property into an edible, sustainable farm in the city and was on a garden tour. I mean, we were very active individuals. We hiked. We did a lot of off-roading in the mountains here and just had a beautiful life. And one day I was walking from my hearth room across to the front door and I had excruciating pain in my feet and screamed out for my husband to come and help me. And we had no idea what had happened. And we had a friend who was a podiatrist and called him and said, something's wrong. He said, did you step on a scorpion? And I said, on both feet? Like, I don't know. This doesn't make sense. And he had no idea, but he loved me and knew I wasn't crazy. And we had physicians that were the parents of the kids we were serving that knew I wasn't crazy. Thank God. I can't tell you how grateful I was to have people who could believe me that something horrific was happening. And they all loved us so much that they sent us to some of the best specialists in the, US. And everybody was scratching their head. They had no idea what was happening to me. But I was progressively, with every modality we would do, with my naturopathic prolotherapy, with medications, with taping, with surgery, I progressed to get substantially worse. And eventually the pain was not just in my feet, but it was my hip bone to my toes. And I was diagnosed with a disease that's only second to terminal cancer in level of pain. And when I say I hope that you can understand, most of us that have had babies, imagine that with nothing, no support happening all the time. I think the best way I can help people understand is, when you burn your thumb on a pot, you've done it, right? Like you burn your thumb and that stinging sensation. Well, imagine that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from my hip bones to my feet. along with deep bone pain and jolts of electricity as my nervous system would kind of bend out of control. And it was hard. It was really hard. I took 17 medications a day. I still continued modalities. We estimate somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000 we put out trying to get me better. And I had no life. I had no life. It was just really, really hard. And a friend had called and she had heard I was sick. And she said, Steph, I'd love to have you come to a party. And when you're chronically ill, the last thing you want to do is go to a party. I mean, you don't want to get up and get makeup on and look cute. You can't manage very long at night. You're not even sure if you can walk. Like, no, it was not what I wanted to do. And my friend called my husband and she said, hey, I'm having a party and I really think Steph should come. I really want her to be here. Would you help her get here? And so he and my boys lifted my wheelchair and carried me into the house, only to find it was not a party. It was a network marketing meeting. And we were like, what? And at that point I was there. It was really hard to just get me out. So I did what every good friend does and just sat there seething. You're just so angry. And I didn't hear anything anybody said. But my husband, he's a whippet man. He was on his phone the whole time looking to see if anything was true. Let me look in the National Institute of Health. And he began to look up what they were talking about was something called oxidative stress. And you know this very well. And we discovered that when you would put in my disease and oxidative stress behind it, here came these studies that my doctors didn't know about. And that's not unusual. There's 2.3 million studies a day put in the National Institute of Health. Doctors can't stay on top of that. Maybe they're on top of the ones that have a specific word in it. But to understand all of these modalities and capacities, it's unreasonable to put that kind of pressure on a doctor. And so their studies mainly come from pharma, and pharma is not looking at natural supplements. They're looking at things that they can patent and synthesize. And so what we discovered was if we could treat this thing called oxidative stress, maybe we could just change the dynamic of my game. And sure enough, my husband said, this is it, baby, you're going to do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, you got to know, if you said, Steph, this will help you, buy this oil, it'll help you. I bought so much of it, poured so much of it on my body. I smelled fantastic, but it got me nowhere. That's not to say that this doesn't have value. Absolutely not. When you're that ill, though, your oversensitivity level is just off the charts. Typical modalities that might have helped your friend aren't going to help you until you can bring your body into some sort of balance. And so we put me on the activators within about 2 months. I had said to my husband, like, come on, you got a guy who's helping you shower, get in and out of bed, helping you eat. Like, come on, even go to the bathroom sometimes. If they ask you to do something, you'll do it with a big fat smile on your face. And so that's what I did. And 8 weeks in, though, I was like, honey, this is just not working. And he said, wait, honey, you are more cognitive today than you've been in 7 years. Because he would come home from work, come in my bedroom where I lived and talk to me. And then he would leave the room and go get a glass of water and come back. And when he'd come back, I'd be like, oh, you're home. And he'd be like, God, Steph, we just had a whole conversation. But I wouldn't remember it. But all of a sudden, my brain began to work again. And I could remember it. I could remember what was going on with my kids. I could remember to do things. I could have conversations and know I was having them. And he said, if this is all that happens to you, and I get my baby's brain back, that's where we're at. But praise God, it wasn't just that. At 4 months, I was able to come off a major medication. 6 months came off my next one and took my leg braces off. Because mind you, I had to live with leg braces on for stability. And took my leg braces off and took my first hike, which was just a walk in the woods in Flagstaff, Arizona. But it was huge to me, And I'll never forget lacing up those leather solo hiking boots. And I did it as a live with a Facebook group of people that fought the same disease as me and cried the whole walk because I finally had a semblance of the woman I used to be again. And it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was about 18 months to come to the place I am today. But today, gosh, I mean, I hike all the time. If you look at my profile, I lead my Girl Scout troop into the mountains to clean up trash and hiking trails that the average person would think I was insane to want to do. And I homeschool 2 kids and I run a full-time marketing business and I live my life again. And so if the biggest thing I can impart to people is in our fallen world where so many people are sick and so many people struggle, we have to be our biggest advocate. You got to be it. And you got to be surrounded by people like Kelly, people who believe, not just hope, dream, but believe that healing is possible, because it has to get into you all the way to your core. And then you have to just not give up. Instead of it being an expense to do the things you need to do, it's I get to do this because I'm going to get free. And so it really changes your mental capacity and that belief, right? Like, we're not here to be sick and poor. And so we've got to fight against that and not accept those kinds of conditions for ourselves.
Yeah, it's so true. I did not by any means have the story that you have as far as health. I've always been a pretty healthy person, but I started taking the same products that you take, and I've been on them for a year, and I can tell a difference in my health within this past year. So I think I agree. I think they're remarkable. And I'm so thankful that you were able to find these. We call these activators, and it's kind of a new term in the biohacking world, activators. And so from your perspective, what do you think they're not drugs, they're not even considered supplements.
Yeah.
They're activators is what they are. From your perspective, what are they actually doing, and why did they help you more than anything else?
Yeah. Well, I took all kinds of supplements. I mean, I took all the typical anti-inflammatory, I did the anti-inflammatory diets, all of that. But here's the hardcore reality. And my husband takes these products too, and he doesn't have a lick of anything wrong with him. We just don't want it. Our body has a natural antioxidating system, and it was built for 565 BC. Not today where we have all these chemicals and pollution, EMFs and GMOs and medications, lack of exercise or too much exercise. People don't know balance in today's world. We have viruses that are changing people's DNA. And so we have to see the world very differently today than even that we did 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I remember thinking, like, why do I have to worry so much about my food today? Well, 65% of the food in America is grown in China and gray water. Like, we have to consider that things are not what they were even for our grandparents. And so that's why we see this huge rise right now of autoimmune and other diseases related to oxidative stress because of the load that they're putting on our body. So what this does is, unlike a supplement that adds something to us, it's literally turning the DNA key back on. So we think that when we produce a DNA cell, that we're producing this beautiful, brand new, baby, gorgeous cell. Not at all. We're getting an exact duplicate of what we got. So if you're sick, you're getting another sick cell. And then you have the environment weighing down on that cell. And it can only handle so much until it begins to be dysfunctional and dormant. And when that happens, it's not able to clean itself out or function in a detoxification level that it should. And not to get too sciencey, but I think the recent statistic is like 65% of Americans have MTHFR, which is a gene mutation that automatically says we don't detox well. And then you add this to it, we're not getting the nasty sludge out of our system. So we're needing all these extra antioxidants and supplements. And you can compare it if you want to eat 100 pounds of blueberries and 100 pounds of oranges and all of that a day. You can do that diet with, broccoli sprouts or Brussels for the sulfate of Brussels sprout stuff, but you won't still get to the level of an activator. The activators are listed 21 times in the National Institute of Health, peer reviewed, not by that company, but by Washington State University, Louisiana State University, Ohio State. They all did studies to see, is this actually a real thing? And discovered it was. And 3 years ago, pharmacology said, well, we want a part of that pie. Of course, that's what they do. And so they made a synthetic product called Tecfidera. And Tecfidera is considered an MS drug. And many people started using it and having substantial side effects. And the reason is because it's synthetic. So Tecfidera did a study against the company that produces the DNA activators we're talking about, and we beat it, blew it away as a natural product. So I think science is legit. It's real. You need to be looking at where the studies come from. Every company out there has studies, but every company doesn't have peer-reviewed studies in the National Institute of Health. There are not 21 studies on most pharmacology drugs. And to be a company like a network marketing company, the only runner-up is Juice Plus, and they have 2. So this is a substantial follow the science, and you'll find what you need, but most people don't even know what to be looking for. In all those studies, which there's now over 200,000 studies about oxidative stress, how did they get the baseline? They use this product to get the baseline because it's the only thing proven by the National Institute of Health to reduce oxidative stress by 40% in 30 days. Crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. And, I've introduced it to a lot of my clients, and, it's more like, yeah, you can look at the science, but I look at the actual physical evidence that I see. My clients that have stayed on it, to me, they're thriving, and they, their hair looks healthy, their skin looks healthy, they seem more energetic and vibrant. And
I don't know if you've seen animals on it, but animals don't have placebo effect. And there are many studies on animals, but they don't have a placebo. And you see these
right.
animals really respond very quickly because they have even more oxidative stress than human beings do.
Yes.
And we think our kids are exempt from this because they're young, but they're not. They're just not. And, we're seeing this. If you actually look out there in the last 2 years, what's going on, we're seeing a rise in these kids even developing autoimmune conditions. And so we have to know that there's something bigger in the world going on, and we can't control everything. So we have to do the things we can to bring our body to a balanced place.
Most definitely. I think the big challenge, though, is that humans are just so bombarded. We're just so bombarded, and so you come to introduce something like this, and humans were just already like, oh gosh, I've just had the kitchen sink thrown at me already. So it's hard to get people to understand the real value of things when we're just constant.
Yeah. I think one thing that's a real blessing is that the pandemic has taught people that your DNA matters. And for the first time in history, the average person, not just the biology homeschool mom, we get that 98% of our genes can be manipulated. Only 2% cannot. And so once that is beginning to filter into the populace, and an understanding that doctors are not God and they don't know everything, and that you better learn to take care of yourself. I think that dynamic is changing. That is a beautiful thing that has come out of the pandemic. And, like I said, I'm a marketing coach. I get pitched every single day by every single marketing company and affiliate. And my question is always, do you have a National Institute of Health study? That's what I want to see. I don't care about anything else. I don't care if you sell oil, that there's a lavender oil study. I want to study on your particular product so that I can make a viable choice. Is it the best thing to add to my life? So, we all know, things are good that we're not going to find there, but we have to do as much research as possible. And I know, trust me, I feel like I don't have time for this stuff, right? Who's got time for that? And so that's where you get these key questions, right? Like, is there a National Institute of Health study? Is there a connection I can see? Because we don't want to rule out Western medicine. All Western medicine is not bad. It's coming up to the mark of where our world is today to understand what all is available. And is so much controversy out there that the beautiful thing about the National Institute of Health studies is they are peer reviewed. So it's not just that scientist that put that out, but someone had to review it to be able to have it there. And again, if you have 21 studies, not just one, you have a lot more to compare to and to look at why would these studies have been done? What's the purpose behind it? And so learning to do the right research instead of just trying to spend your whole night researching is really vital. And that's by connecting with people like you and me and women who are really vested in seeing other women thrive.
Most definitely. And I think, along what you were saying just a moment ago about not all Western medicine is bad. I agree with that completely. But the system has been set up to make people believe that they don't have to have any responsibility in it at all. All they have to do is go to the doctor. And Stephanie and I are both here to inform everyone it's time to start taking control of your health. You have a lot of power and you have a responsibility as well. And it's time to move away from just putting all of your eggs into the Western medicine basket. And
Yes.
And this is a way of really taking it into your hands and kind of carrying your role in the game. It's your responsibility. So
Yeah.
I want to shift just a little bit. So you have this amazing story of recovery and healing, and it's all connected to thank goodness to the Life Vantage activators. And you decided to take this, and you decided to take it and run with it, and you also decided to really use it to start helping empower women. And so we both are very big advocates for moms. I'm a huge advocate for single moms because I am one. I'm an advocate for all moms. But and today is what? National
Women's Day.
Day. So how appropriate is this? This is awesome. So tell me about, how did you get into the women's empowerment through all of this?
Well, I have a long history in sales and advertising, and many, many, many years ago, my husband talked me into being, my husband's so great, but he talked me into being a sales director with Mary Kay. I started Mary Kay, didn't want to, come on, $8 a mascara. I didn't have the time for that. But in 9 months, I was a, director driving the car, had a great time, absolutely loved it, loved the company to this day. But I had a baby that was born with special needs. And it was just impossible for me at that time to do it. We didn't have the knowledge that we have today 20 years ago, how to support those kids or the community to support those kids. And so I stepped out of it. I was in ministry with an organization called Mothers of Preschoolers, helped with leadership development there, and built it, grew those groups in churches all over the place, and just really loved. I'm known for many, many years. I just love working with women and helping them to see the God-given gifts they have inside of them. I wrote my mission statement almost 30 years ago, and that was my personal mission statement. And so when I moved to Remission, I had to go through a lot of PTSD and healing emotionally and mentally from something like that. And I grew and did a lot of crazy things to kind of get there. But then I knew, like, I really needed to go back to work. Like, you've exhausted all your income. Like, it's time I got to build our household back up. But for me to go back into advertising and marketing meant 60 hours a week. And I wasn't going to be with my kids that I had missed and longed to do all these things with. And so I wasn't in any hurry. It was no hurry to make it happen. And then COVID hit. And, I remember it was like March 15th, and my husband's company completely imploded overnight. He's a contractor for small businesses, and one of them did T-shirts and patches for, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, YMCA. And they took everything off their books for 18 months. So we were looking at zip income for 18 months. And I knew, like, oh my goodness, we got to rock and roll. And my husband had connected with a gal who was a Facebook marketing coach, and he hired her to work with me to help me think of how could I step in and really help people. And I started selling affiliates to do just that, and really loved it. But then people were paying me to coach them as well. They were saying, will you coach me? I'll pay for the coaching. And so I started creating this coaching platform that eventually it turned into my full-time company. And so I have a course that I offer, a membership I offer, private clients. I only take so many private clients on the wait list. But I have a personal group, a private group called Warrior Mompreneurs, where I give all kinds of tools, tips, and resources to women on Facebook. And then I also have a room in Clubhouse. And I love it because I know what it's like to not have the same time restraints that maybe other people do. What does that look like? What does that feel like? I know what the excuses are, whether they're real or imaginary in our head, and I know how to overcome them. Getting out of chronic disease ain't no joke. And you learn some significant tools and skills. And so I can apply those same tools and skills with the advertising and marketing knowledge I have to really help women build a business that's out of their mission statement. Like, that's my hope, is to help women really identify what is my call to contribution? What am I created to do? And how do I do that to where I create an income for my family? And I feel super privileged to be able to do what I do.
Yeah, I think it's pretty spectacular. We have a mutual friend, Dana Marie, and shout out to her. Love Dana. And when she introduced me to you, I started watching you, and I was like, wow, this lady, man, she is on fire. She's always happy. She's always smiling. She's always so encouraging. And so I was like, yes, I need to be connected with Stephanie.
Aw, thank you.
And so I've watched you all along. I wish that I could watch you even more. Whenever you're live, I'm like, oh, I want to watch so bad, but I've got something else going over here. So always know. What is that?
It's a good thing for replay.
Exactly. But always know, when you're on, I'm always intrigued.
Thank you.
And so I feel like Stephanie she's just a special person that has really been placed here for women and serving women and lifting them up. And I want to do the same thing. So women out there, especially my single moms, because I'm always trying to dote on them and help take care of them. Someone that is just kind of like, I've got a few single mom friends that they don't like their job. They're miserable. They're working, the candles burning from both ends.
Yeah.
They don't know how to get out because, they don't know how because
Right.
what do you suggest for people, moms, single moms, any woman that is in that predicament?
Yeah. Life isn't easy for anybody. Anyone to deal with. Life is not easy. And so what makes it easier is when we're really pursuing and doing the things that ignite us and turn us on internally. We're better mothers. We're better friends. We're better people. Everybody's got crap self-talk that they have to work through, and the demons that speak to us. Like, that's just reality. Like, I don't have time. I'm exhausted, all those things. But we have to find the pulse that really pulls us through this earth. What is that call to contribution? And so one of the things I have all of my private clients and I recommend all the women in the course do is there's an old book by a guy named Stephen Covey, old being 1990s. I know the world thinks that's old now, but he wrote Stephen Covey. If you'll remember Franklin Covey planners before we had cell phones and Blackberries. And so he wrote this book, and it's great for time management. I think especially for moms, because we are massive multitaskers, and really learning to hone that in a little bit more is incredibly valuable. But chapter 5, you'll actually write out what is your life mission statement.
What's the book called?
Oh, sorry. First Things First by Stephen Covey.
Okay, First Things First.
And it's just a great book. You can get it on Amazon for $15. You can get it half price books for $2. eBay's like $2. Not a very expensive purchase for sure. Well worth the book, not the Audible. The Audible won't give you the workbook pages. And you can also go to Stephen Covey's website and do their planner to help you fill out your mission statement. But the book is is my favorite resource to help people. Once they've written that mission statement out, then we can begin to talk about if you could give someone big results, like life-changing results, what would those be? Real specific. And even though you and I do similar things, our mission will be very different. So you create, what is this big result you want people to get? And then from that, what I do in our coaching is we go, okay, now let's look at pillars to stand on. That's your roof. So what are the pillars that you're going to stand on? And each of those pillars, we're going to identify what that looks like and how can we monetize it? What are some things we could add to it or incorporate or adjust to create some monetization? Then you're not out there trying to just sell a product, but you understand the big results you want people to get. That changes everything. It changes the way you speak to other women. It changes the way you post. It changes the conversations you have. You're energized instead of depleted. When you just need to make money, so you do something to just make money. I'm all about a good opportunity. Throw me a good opportunity. I want to check it out. But it has to align with my heartbeat. Otherwise, it's going to take me away from the things that matter the most to me, like my children. And so that's where that's really important. I just recommend that for every single person. Get that book, sit down and really hammer it out. And you want to talk about leaving a legacy for your kids, having that mission to where your kids know my mom was called to serve other women and help them identify who they are in God. Like, they can say that back to you. That is one's just amazing legacy. And then everything else you do, I don't have it right here in front of me. I'm sorry, it's in my other room, but I give all the women in my course a gratitude journal. And I teach on what does that mean, really specifically, like an hour long teaching on it. But one of the bloops I'll share with you is every single day, I challenge them to write down 3 to 5 things they're grateful for. Not just I'm grateful for the house I live in. Why am I grateful for it? So like, I'm grateful my daughter kissed me on the cheek today. It reminded me of when she was 4 and she would crawl in my lap and I would hold her. Like, I'm allowing my emotions to connect with that gratitude. Changes my subconscious completely, because most of our life is in the subconscious. And then I have them write 3 to 5 things that went well today. We're easy to go, this is all the stuff that turned into crap today, but write out the 3 to 5 things that went well. And what's beautiful about that kind of a gratitude journal is when you're dead and gone, that's the things your family is going to read. That is a legacy. And when you're in a pit day, we all have them, you'll grab that gratitude journal and you'll read it. And because your emotion is tapped in, your subconscious quickly taps in and you're able to pull yourself out of it. So it's really, most of my marketing is about tools, systems and tools so that she can propel to be the person that God called her to be.
Yeah, I've been doing writing out. I get up at first thing in the morning and I meditate, and then I write out, and it started out in the beginning, it was 5 things I'm grateful for. And then it became 10, and now it's 10 plus. And sometimes it will just be, sometimes you don't really want to stop. And I'm like, I gotta wrap this up. But it is amazing because it does really make you start looking like, oh my gosh, that book, I read that. So, I read that a long time ago and I love that book. I'm so grateful that I got to read that book. It enhanced my life. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
every little thing you start looking, oh my gosh, whoa, look at that over there. And I definitely recommend that tool to everyone too. I think I mean, if we all were walking around thinking and talking about what we're grateful for, would we have the problems that we're having? I mean, we really wouldn't. And
Mhm.
really, for moms, single moms, like you said, it's so easy to just get bogged down. I'm I'm certainly there, and I have to check myself a lot. It's easy with all the things that you want to do for your kids, that you are obligated to do for your kids, that you are asked, all the things that
Right.
that are asked of us. It can start to just feel like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's so much. But if you start to say, you know what, I'm thankful for this. I'm grateful for this. And I'm thankful for Stephanie being here with me today. It starts to make it be like, hey, wait a minute, it's not
Mhm.
so bad. And
You have to, you have to be able to receive to give well. And I think in the gratitude, we recognize what we receive. And so we're able to give from a clean cup versus a stagnant cup. And that's just, reality as moms. The less love that we get pumped into us, then the less we're able to be great moms to our kids. We start yelling at them and, doing all the things that we beat ourselves up about. And mom guilt is just the guilt that keeps on giving. And so we have to work on mom so that we can be better for them. And that's just, I thought that when I was in that bed all those years was, I'm not doing this for my kids, and my kids don't get to do this, and my kids don't get to do that, and my kids don't get to have friends over, and my kids. And my kids have turned into some of the most independent, empathetic people you'll ever meet. God's got a bigger hand on them than we can. And just trusting that and being a good example, we really care most that our kids turn out to be good people, not all the other stuff.
right, exactly. And I think, you can also take it back to the same thing, back to the activators and all. We can kind of get into the mindset of, I you know I just don't have room for that to add in my life. And I'm not, I'm taking care of everybody else. I don't have time to take care of myself. And I think that, um kind of stepping back and saying, no, I'm trying to tie in with you, talking about getting used to receiving, and
Yeah.
saying,
Well, what is at stake? If she doesn't care for herself and she ends up chronically ill in bed, then what? We think about, well, I don't have time for that. Okay, well, what happens if we don't do these things? What is the end result going to be? And we all talk about we have to live in the here and now. Sure, but we better be thinking a little bit about tomorrow. And a lot of moms, it's a deficiency, that brain fog kind of stuff. And so I don't know if you do as well. I use a nootropic. I think they're incredibly powerful. They're in my desk at all times. And it's got DME and L-theanine in it. So one speeds the brain up, one slows the brain down, and it brings us to an ability of being able to focus. And sometimes it's just that simple, right? Like when I have these in my purse because I live by them. My kids love them. And, if I see a mom and I'm out and she's struggling, I'll just grab one and go, here, just take this thing. And natural ways that we can calm ourselves. You got to get all that stuff to stop so that you can focus. And on the other end of it, Kelly, I think some will, some won't. Sorry. Like
Right.
everybody isn't open to wanting to heal or wanting more. And some people really like living in a world full of drama and sickness. And it became their identity. And we just can pray for those people, but we can't help them until their eyes can open and they want to change. They want more. Their job is so crazy uncomfortable that they're wanting to look at something different. Until they get to that point, it may not be for them.
Right, exactly. Kind of like how it was for you when you were
Yeah, right.
introduced to Life Vantage.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just so grateful and that you came and spent time with me, and hopefully everyone else out there today was able to get some real value. And I'm just inspired by you and what you went through, and not everybody could do that. Some people would just give up and give in.
Mhm.
And you have that fighter spirit that I love. I'm very I like to surround myself with people with that fighter spirit, and I like to try to pull it out of people just like you do too. And so with
Love that
that,
you just said that, pull it out of them because, when we have been through a crisis, and many of these girls have been through divorce, I mean, we forget what we're made of. We forget how capable we are. And so it really is, we are the average sum of the 5 to 10 women that we hang out with. Find 5 to 10 that are what you want to be and invest in energy with them. Talk to them, listen to them, follow them. That is my biggest heartbeat of my private Facebook group, Warrior Mompreneurs. If people are in it and they're not engaging and connecting with other women and talking, I actually don't keep them in the group because I think it's really important to build a community where people can trust others wanting to do what they want to do. And so if you don't have that, come join ours, find another one. Just even in your group, Kelly, like, don't just be in something, post, comment,
right, exactly.
engage, because you
Yeah.
can't get to know people unless you put yourself out there. And I love how Brene Brown says, it's vulnerability, which is courage. And courage means to give with your to share with your whole heart. And so it's even in social media, I've made some of the most amazing friends who have come to visit me from all over the country. And, that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't willing to be vulnerable. I have this many kids. How many kids do you have? What do you do? This is what I do. And really get to know someone and, do that. Invest in building good, strong relationships because those are the ones you need when life isn't where you want it to be.
Yeah. And stepping out of your comfort zone for sure.
Mhm.
That's definitely one that I'm working on daily, and I try to encourage all my mom friends, come on now, step out. I invite people to come do these talks. It's been really interesting. I invite people to come do these talks, and I have so many that are like, I just can't do it. I just can't go. I can't go on. And I'm like, come on now, you can do it. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. You know?
Sometimes they just need coaching to find their voice. Like I said, it's that, what is your mission statement? And then finding your voice, because you don't want them to just come on and blubber either. They want to grow and expand. And that's where a coach can be invaluable. If you don't have a business and you don't need the marketing direction, look at a life coach, because really having someone to put you in those positions and hold your hand, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. You know, a lot of women are not comfortable talking in public. So social media is just as scary to them. And so really having that support to help them learn how to process to do it is huge. And then the emotional growth they have is huge that goes along with it.
Most definitely. Well, so everyone, all my moms out there, all my single moms, I want you to definitely go over, tell everybody the name on Facebook for your group.
So on Instagram, I'm the Warrior Mompreneur. On Facebook, it's my name, Stephanie Alexander Porter. I know it's a mouthful. Is my private profile. And then I have a private Facebook group called Warrior Mompreneurs. And so check any of those out and connect with other women. If you're wanting to build a business, whether you have one or you don't, if you're like, man, I just wish I could do something different, check it out and see if it's a good fit for you to help you gain the resources that you need to do something like that.
Most definitely. And she's a contributor in my Mom Alive project group. So anytime you want to post anything in there, please do so. I'm hoping this is going, I got a message in the middle of this that said it was not live in the Mom Alive project. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully I'm able to, if it didn't go live in there, hopefully I'm able to still have it
from YouTube.
Sent over there. So Stephanie, thank you so much for meeting with me today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's not the last time that we'll meet for sure. People will love hearing your story over and over. I've heard it like 3 or 4 times now, and I want to keep hearing it all the time. And if you guys are interested in any of our LifeVantage products, reach out to Stephanie or me, and we'll definitely hook you up. We love these products. They're phenomenal. I have nothing. There's nothing negative to say about these products. They're wonderful. They were created with care, and the company, I've never seen a company with so much heart for helping people get healthy, and also just the outreach to communities. The charitable work that they do is just really off the charts. So we're both LifeVantage girls, and really, if you guys are interested, we're very happy to share information on that. So Stephanie, anything else you want to add?
No, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Hope everybody out there has a great afternoon wherever you are in the world. And we'll be talking to you soon, okay?
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.